everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with another video, and this time we're going to be doing a full set with pink and orange gel polish. So as always, the first thing that we're doing is just removing the shine from the natural nail. I had already pushed back the cuticles before I started recording, so as always, just push back the cuticles and then remove the shine from the natural nails. You want to make sure that when you're doing this, you're using a 180 sanding bend. You don't want to use anything more coarse than that, because if not, you will damage someone's natural nail or even yours. So again, we're just removing the shine, making sure that you focus around the cuticle area first, and then removing the shine from the rest of the nail, because a lot of our lifting will come from around the cuticle area. Alrighty, so once we finish removing the shine, we're going to go in and apply the nail tips. Before you do, you want to make sure that you dust the nails off really good and then just start applying the nail tips. So remember that when you're doing this, you want to make sure that before you apply the nail tip, you measure each finger to make sure that you're applying the right size tips. You want the tip to go from sidewall to sidewall. You don't want the tip hanging off and touching the skin, and you also don't want the tip being too small, because if not, it will cause lifting or it's going to eventually break off. So again, make sure that the nail tip is the correct size, not too big, not too small. Literally fit from sidewall to sidewall, and you will have no problems with your tips. And then as far as picking your tip, just remember that you could really just use whatever tips you want, whether it's clear or natural. A lot of the time, if you want to get like a clear look to where you could actually see the clear, then of course you would use the clear nail tips. But if they're just getting polish over their nails, then you could always use the natural nail tips. So in this case, I just use the clear tips because those are the first ones that I grabbed out of my drawer. And then for my glue, as always, I'm using my KDS glue. So we're doing the same thing on this hand. Again, just measure your nail tips and apply the glue if they're the right size, and just hold it on the nail for a few seconds. And this glue dries really fast, so it doesn't take me long at all. Alrighty, so after we finish applying the nail tips, we're going to go in and just trim the sides of the nails. This is also the step where you would go ahead and just trim down the nails to the desired length, but she wants to keep them this long, so I'm just trimming down the sides because she does want them coffined. So when we're doing coffin, we want to make sure that we just trim down the sides. That way we save a lot of time whenever we actually come to shape the nails. So remember also, if you were doing stiletto, you would do the same thing, just trimming the sides, but instead of just trimming just a little bit, you would trim a little bit more. That way you don't have to do as much filing. But once we come in to shape the nails, we're using a 100 nail file, and we're just going to be filing at a 45-degree angle on the side and then a 90-degree angle at the free edge, and then also just blending the tips right in the middle. And just blending the nail tips is just going to get rid of that smile line, and it's going to make the nails look a lot more natural. And usually you don't have to do that with the clear nail tips because you're not going to be able to see the tip anyways. But I think it's just a habit. But usually with your natural nail tips, you will want to do that, you know, all the time. So again, we're just filing the tips at a 45-degree angle on the sides, and making sure that you file that free edge at exactly a 90-degree angle to make sure that you get them like super straight. Alrighty, so after we finish shaping the nails, we're going to go in with the primer, and I'm using my OPI Bondex, and I actually didn't get to record that part because my phone went dead, so we're going to get right to the acrylic application. So as always, I'm using my Mia Secret acrylic system in the color pink, and then I'm using my alpha brush in a number 10, and it is an oval shape. So I'll be sure to leave that link in the description. And then as always, whenever I'm doing acrylics, I try to do the 4-bar method. So I do the first one right in the middle of the nail where the natural nail and the tip meets. The second one right below that one. The third one goes right above that one like this, and then I kind of just push it up towards the cuticle area, brushing it down towards the tip, and then making sure that you always go back and clean around that cuticle area with the very tip of your brush to make sure that you have no product on the skin, because if not, that acrylic will be impossible to take off, and most likely you will get lifting. After that, I went ahead and applied another one right below that one, just because remember that when you're doing nails, a lot of the time, you know, maybe your first bead was too small and you might need to go add a little bit more. So make sure that when you're working, you look at the nail from different angles to see where you need to apply more product. A lot of the time you might need to add more, you might not need to add more. So it's always going to just depend, you know, on each nail, and depending on what size bead you got the first time or the second time. So just make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing and just keep looking at your nail from different angles. And you can't really see here, you know, at this angle, but every time that you see me flip their finger up, that's me looking at the nail from the side. So remember, just try to stick to a certain method, but if you need to add more, then you know that's fine as well. But again, I'm using my Mia Secret acrylic system in the color pink and my alpha brush in a number 10, which I just absolutely love. But we're gonna go ahead and finish off this set. Again, you see every time, like I'm doing it right here when I'm lifting up the finger, and that's me looking at the nail to see where I need to add more acrylic. As you seen there, my apex was still a little bit, you know, too thin, so I went back in and applied a bead there. Of course, if my tip was a little bit too thin, then I would go back and apply more product at the tip. So it's always going to be different, but make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing. And I cannot stress that enough, but it's really, really important. And also another thing that I wanted to mention is that when you're applying acrylic, you want to make sure that you're brushing out the acrylic really good to where you have no bumps or lumps. I know I have a lot of people always asking me, how do I get the nail so smooth? And the first thing is just making sure that when I'm applying the acrylic, I brush it to a smooth finish. A lot of the time your brush will have a lot to do with your acrylic going on very smoothly. Because if you're using a brush that's not really good, a lot of the product will get stuck to the brush. And when that product gets stuck to the brush, it's going to be impossible for you to have a smooth application. Because every time you pick up a bead and place it on the nail, more product is going to get stuck on your brush, and it's going to keep building up and building up. And it's just going to make your nail really rough and bumpy. So make sure that for one, you're investing in a good brush, and then also just making sure that if you do have a good brush, that you're just brushing the acrylic on the nail really smoothly. Remember that when you're applying the acrylic here, like when you're brushing it down, make sure that you're really gentle, because you don't want to brush the acrylic off the nail. And then another thing would also be making sure that you're using the correct liquid to powder ratio, because if your product it's too dry, it is going to be really hard to move around, and most likely it's going to be really bumpy. So whenever you still have bumpy nails, you kind of want to just use like a process of elimination. You're kind of like, okay, well, I am brushing the acrylic to a smooth finish, but you know, it's still kind of rough, so maybe my product is too dry, or maybe I'm not following the nails correctly. So you're just gonna have to see, you know, what you're doing right and wrong. That way you can kind of find, you know, what is actually the issue as far as getting smooth nails. And then if none of that, if it's not your product, then a lot of the time it could be just you not following enough. But usually whenever you get a little bit more experience, you will be able to learn how to just, you know, apply your product really smoothly. That way you don't have to do all that extra following at the end. But as a beginner, I know it's really hard, because I feel like we all kind of went through the same stages of doing nails. So you're just gonna have to, of course, find what works for you, and then over time you're just gonna get better and better and better. So of course, don't give up, just keep practicing, and you'll be there in no time, because you're gonna find things that work for you that might not work for me, or things that I just don't do at all. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And of course, we're gonna go ahead and just finish off this application. So it's basically the same thing. Again, I try to stick to the 4-ball method, but if I need to add a little bit more, then I do so.
evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
Alrighty, so after we finish the acrylic application, we're going to go in and just reshape the nails. So I'm using that same 100 nail file, and we're doing the same thing. We're just filing the sides at a 45-degree angle and the free edge at a 90-degree angle to make sure that it's really straight, and make sure that you don't skip the stub. I know that sometimes you feel like you have a nice shape, but trust me, after you apply the acrylic, it kind of takes away from your shape, and then you have those rough edges. So that's why you want to just go in and just reshape just a little bit. It doesn't take much at all, but again, it's something that you don't want to skip. And then after this, we're going to go in with the e-file, and we're just going to be filing all of the nails to make sure that we seal that cuticle area really good, and that we get rid of any little bumps that we might have on the nail. So I'm using my fine drill bit by McCart, and actually this is my extra fine drill bit by McCart. It is a ceramic drill bit, and the reason why I like these now is because they're not as sharp as the carbide ones. So I think I would recommend these over the other ones, but I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. But anyways, as always, we're going to file around that cuticle area really good, going from the right side over to the left side, just going back and forth until you're able to see where your cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. That way you know that you're not going to get any lifting because you're sealing that acrylic really good around that cuticle area. If you have any little gaps between the natural nail and the acrylic, most likely you're going to get moisture trapped underneath the nail, and the nail is going to lift. So make sure that you focus around that cuticle area first, and then just file the rest of the nail as you go.
I don't deny there's some strange evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
Alrighty, so after we finish filing the nails, we're going to go in with the buffer, and we're just going to make sure that all of the nails are nice and smooth. Remember, buffing the nails is just going to get rid of any of those scratches left on the nail from the e-file or the hand file. So make sure that you buff them really good, and then I always go back in and just feel on each nail to make sure that it's nice and smooth. If not, I buff a little bit more. Alrighty, so after we finish buffing the nails, we just dust the nails off, and I'm wiping them off with an alcohol wipe. And then after this, we're going to start the polish application. So she wasn't sure if she wanted more of an orange color or pink. So you will see me trying both of the colors out. The first one is in the color The Sun's Out by Madam Glam, and then the second one is going to be Pink Me Out, also by Madam Glam. You guys know these are my favorite gel polishes, and I do have a promo code for them, so I'll be sure to leave that down in the description. So she was trying to choose between the two colors, but she ended up just saying, just leave the pinky orange and then do the rest pink. So that's what I'm doing. Again, this is in the color Sun's Out by Madam Glam. And then the other one is in the color Pink Me Out, also by Madam Glam's.
I don't deny there's some strange evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
Alrighty, so after that, we're going to go in with a second coat. Remember, when you're using, whether it's regular polish or gel polish, you always want to come back and do a second coat of every color, because if not, a lot of the time, some colors, depending on how bright, dark, or light they are, you will be able to see like little patches through your polish. So just make sure you come back in and get that second coat, or do the second coat. That way you have that flawless look.
I don't deny there's some strange evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and and I are working here today is evidence of that.
Alrighty, so after we finish doing this second coat, we're going to go in with our bling. So for this set, I'm going to be using my SS6, my SS12, some bigger pieces, as well as my flat back pieces. And then as always, I'm going to be using my hard gel as well as my Mia Secret gel resin. So the first one that I'm doing is this ring finger. I grabbed some hard gel, just place it right in the middle wherever I want my bling, and then I'm just going to make a little cluster. So usually when I do something like this, I usually just do 3 big pieces right in the middle, and you basically want to just make them fit perfectly together, kind of like a little puzzle. That way they, you know, stay on really good and they're not going to snag. So again, just place your hard gel right in the middle or wherever you want your bling to go, and then just place them right in the gel, and that way they kind of like the gel kind of sinks, or not sinks, but kind of spreads out around the bling, and it works as a glue, obviously. So, and then after you do this, you want to make sure that you cure them for like 30 to 60 seconds. That way they stay on really good, and I usually never have a problem with these coming off. And that is the same hard gel that I will have on my website again soon. Remember, my website is down for restocking right now, but it will be up really, really soon. But once we take out the other hand, we're going to go ahead and apply some bling around those bigger pieces. And I'm just using my SS6 and my SS12. And then for this part, I am using my Mia Secret gel resin. As you can see, I'm just applying it as I go. And then at the end, I will spray the Mia Secret gel resin activator. And that spray is basically just a spray that helps the bling, or not the bling, but the glue dry a lot faster. Because it is a gel resin, it will take a little bit longer to dry. So with that spray, it basically dries the glue instantly. So I do highly recommend it if you're using this gel resin. And honestly, I feel like it makes the bling stay on a lot longer, because I just feel like it freezes the glue into place. But anyways, for this nail, we're going to be doing a rhombus right in the middle, and then we're going to be using 2 of the horse eye right around them at the bottom, and then I'm going to come back in and apply some SS6 and SS12. So remember, these are some of the bling placements that you could always use on just like random sets. If you don't know what you want to do and your client doesn't know what she wants, you could always just throw some bling on the nails, and they're always going to look really pretty. So I know that you guys probably get tired of me using a lot of bling, but my girls love it, and I do too. So that's what we always go towards whenever we don't know what to do. For this one, I'm just doing some right in the middle. I applied a rugby right in the middle, and then I did a SS12 on both sides, and then I'm just outlining the rest with the SS6. And this look is actually really, really pretty. This one would be really cute on the set with like a French tip. That would be so cute. But anyways, again, we're using the Mia Secret gel resin. I'm using my wax pencil to pick up the bling, and then again at the end you will see me spray the activator. And for this pinky, we're just going to outline the whole pinky with the small SS6, and then I did a SS12 right in the middle, closer to the cuticle area. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and add a few other rhinestones right at the top of this rhombus. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and do the thumb. And the design that I'm going to do on the thumb is also really popular and really easy to do. It's basically just an ombre of bling. So you do a lot around the cuticle area. And then as they get closer to the tip, you just kind of scatter them around. And that's just like an ombre look with the bling. So this one is also, again, really popular and really easy to do. And it would go really good with any set, whether you do it on just one nail or even a few nails on each hand. Alrighty, so once we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and spray them with the activator. Again, I use the Mia Secret Gel Resin Activator, and it just helps that glue dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on this hand, and we will be back.
That you and I are working here today is evidence of that. I don't deny there's some strange evolutionary process going on, but mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
Alrighty, so after I finish spraying the activator on the nails, we're going to go ahead and go in with the IBD gel top coat. This is a top coat that I always use and it works really good for me. And again, that is the IBD gel top coat, and I'll be sure to leave the link in the description. But we're just going to apply it on all of the nails, and then after this, we're going to cure this for 60 seconds. Alrighty, y'all, so here is the final look. That pink is just flawless, and surprisingly that orange went so good with it. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at GetNail32, and I'll see you guys next time.